In 1959, American roads were filled with massive cars, bold lines, and soaring tail fins, perfectly reflecting the prosperity of a nation entering its golden age. Chevrolet was the everyday choice for millions of families, offering a wide range of models to suit every taste. Among this vibrant lineup came a name that sounded simple: the 1959 Chevy Biscayne. It wasn't the car everyone remembered, nor was it praised like the Impala or adorned like the Bel Air, yet it carved out its own quiet place in history. The Biscayne may not have stolen the spotlight, but it was there, rolling through American streets, carrying stories of its own. Today, we'll turn back the clock to revisit this understated machine and uncover why it still sparks curiosity more than 6 decades later. By 1959, the American car market resembled a battlefield. Ford, Plymouth, and even smaller manufacturers were challenging Chevrolet's #1 spot. Consumers had an abundance of choices: flashy models designed for the wealthy, or bare-bones cars meant for working-class families. To stay on top, Chevrolet developed a total coverage strategy, ensuring that every segment, every type of customer, had a Chevrolet waiting for them. Within this philosophy, the Chevy Biscayne was introduced. It wasn't meant to compete with luxury or style, but with practicality and affordability. Chevrolet recognized that not every family wanted to pay for shiny chrome or plush interiors. Many simply needed a spacious, dependable car that could carry them across state lines without fuss. The Biscayne's arrival perfectly illustrated Chevrolet's late 1950s strategy: never allow rivals to dominate the entry-level market. The Chevy Biscayne followed the same design language as its siblings, yet it was more restrained. The most controversial detail was the wide batwing-style tail fins stretching outward. To traditionalists, it looked strange and excessive, but stand on a street corner and watch a Biscayne glide past, its rear wings spreading like a spacecraft, and you'll understand why the image stuck in people's minds. A collector once told me, "As a kid, I couldn't tell an Impala from a Biscayne. They all looked like rocket ships about to take off." At the front, the Biscayne carried a bold, full-width grille with dual-stacked headlights on each side. It wasn't Cadillac's kind of elegance, but it projected strength and presence. Even as the budget model, Chevrolet ensured the Biscayne had a modern look that owners could be proud of. What's fascinating is that the Biscayne's simpler trim, less chrome, fewer decorative lines, has aged better in the eyes of many enthusiasts. If you've ever stood before a well-preserved Biscayne, you'd feel the raw, honest beauty in its modest appearance. Step inside, and the impression only deepens. The Chevy Biscayne's interior embodied Chevrolet's philosophy of just enough. No excess, no frills, only function. Cloth seats were standard, often in plaid or plain patterns, evoking the simplicity of suburban American homes. The dashboard was straightforward: basic round gauges, minimal chrome trim, mostly painted surfaces. A large two-spoke steering wheel, typical of the 1950s, gave drivers both confidence and a distinctly old-school feel. Air conditioning, a radio, even a clock were all optional. For many middle-class families, a bare-bones Biscayne with a heater and fan was perfectly acceptable. That simplicity didn't diminish its charm. It created memories instead. One enthusiast recalled, "Our family's Biscayne had no music, no luxuries, but laughter and stories filled the cabin every mile." What stood out was the space. Despite its simplicity, the Biscayne offered a surprisingly roomy interior. The rear seat could comfortably fit 5 or even 6 passengers, a big advantage for families with children. To many, it felt like a moving living room, a place where long journeys across states turned into shared experiences. The Biscayne's cabin was never about dazzling luxury, but about honesty and practicality, fitting seamlessly into post-war American life. And in that straightforwardness, it etched itself into the memories of countless owners. Beyond its stripped-down interior, the Biscayne offered buyers surprising variety where it mattered most, under the hood. At the base level, the Biscayne came with the 235 cubic-inch Blue Flame inline-six. Producing about 135 horsepower, it was reliable, economical, and perfectly adequate for daily use. For many middle-class families, it was the safe choice, affordable and easy to maintain. But Chevrolet went further. Those seeking more power could opt for the 283 cubic-inch V8, a popular engine across Chevy's lineup. With outputs ranging from 185 to over 230 horsepower, it gave the big sedan confidence on the open highway. And for customers who truly wanted muscle, the 348 cubic-inch V8 delivered. With over 300 horsepower, it transformed the Biscayne from a budget car into a machine that could rival higher-tier models. Transmission choices added to the flexibility, the standard 3-speed manual, the 2-speed Power Glide automatic for convenience, and even a rare 4-speed manual for sportier driving. This mix allowed the Biscayne to fit nearly any role: family hauler, fleet vehicle, or even a drag strip sleeper on weekends. Interestingly, many young drivers chose the Biscayne over the Impala. The reason was simple. It cost less, but could be equipped with the same powerful V8s. This paradox turned the Biscayne into a kind of wolf in sheep's clothing, an unassuming budget car with hidden performance potential. Yet, engines and horsepower were only part of the story. To truly grasp the Biscayne's place in history, we need to explore another decisive factor: its price point and the customers Chevrolet had in mind. With a starting price of about $2,300, significantly lower than the Bel Air or Impala, Chevrolet sent a clear message. You can still own a full-size modern sedan, even on a modest budget. The Biscayne quickly resonated with working-class families. They saw it as a practical choice: roomy, durable, and affordable, without straining household finances. In post-war America, when cars symbolized both necessity and social standing, the Biscayne struck a careful balance. It was large enough for the whole family, yet priced within reach. Chevrolet also smartly targeted the service sector. Taxi companies, police departments, and government agencies all needed vehicles that were cheap, easy to maintain, yet capable of hard use. The Biscayne fit that role perfectly. Images of black-and-white Biscaynes patrolling streets or waiting at bus depots became familiar scenes across late 1950s America. In terms of sales, the Biscayne moved in the hundreds of thousands during 1959, helping Chevrolet secure its #1 position over Ford. What's intriguing is how its success often went unnoticed. While the Impala grabbed headlines as a style icon, the Biscayne quietly delivered steady profits in the background. Market reactions reflected this contrast. Everyday buyers praised its sensible nature. No frills, no flash, just dependability. Taxi drivers noted that passengers never cared about chrome trims. They only wanted a safe, fast ride. On the other hand, automotive journalists and enthusiasts gave the Biscayne little attention. To them, it was too plain to deserve the spotlight. And from here, the comparison among the three contemporary models becomes clearer than ever. Chevrolet skillfully created a triangle within its full-size lineup. the Biscayne at the entry level, the Bel Air in the middle, and the Impala at the top. They shared the same foundation, but spoke to buyers in very different ways. The Biscayne embodied simplicity and practicality. The Bel Air was the balanced choice, offering extra trim and comfort while remaining affordable. The Impala, meanwhile, stood as Chevrolet's showpiece, aimed squarely at buyers eager to express style and social standing. This structure allowed Chevrolet to reach nearly every slice of late 1950s American society. What's striking is that the separation wasn't only about price or trim levels, it was also about image. A Biscayne parked in front of a house suggested modesty and hard work. A Bel Air signaled that the family had moved a step upward. An Impala, by contrast, made its owner the center of attention, a statement of ambition and personality. Yet technically, all three were close relatives. They rode on the same chassis, used the same drivetrains, and shared many engine options. This created an ironic twist. A properly equipped Biscayne could be every bit as powerful as an Impala. But Chevrolet's packaging and marketing shaped how the public perceived them. The clear distinction among these three models shows Chevrolet's sharp strategy. It wasn't just selling cars, but selling images, lifestyles, and aspirations. And from here, the Biscayne story extends beyond dealerships and sales charts. It becomes part of America's cultural landscape in the years that followed. While the Impala appealed to those seeking prestige, and the Bel Air to the upwardly mobile, the Biscayne was tied to everyday life. It carried families to church on Sundays, workers to factories in the morning, and children home from school in the afternoon. In many towns, black and white Biscaynes patrolling the streets became a familiar sight, blending into the fabric of local communities. Because of its simplicity, the Biscayne rarely appeared in movies or glamorous advertisements. Yet in ordinary snapshots from the late 1950s, it often sits quietly in the background, a silent witness to post-war American life. One person who grew up with a family, Biscayne recalled, "It was never a car to impress, but it's tied to memories of every trip, from picnics to moving houses." The Biscayne was never a cultural superstar, but that very modesty made it relatable. It symbolized simplicity and practicality, values central to everyday America. And today, when people mention the 1959 Chevy Biscayne, many are surprised that a car once considered basic transportation is now becoming a collectible treasure. For decades, the Biscayne was overlooked. Countless examples were worn out as taxis, police cars, or everyday workhorses, eventually ending their lives in scrapyards. This relentless use means far fewer Biscaynes survive compared to the carefully preserved Impalas. This has created an interesting paradox. A well-preserved Biscayne, especially one equipped with a large V8, is now far more valuable than many expect. At auctions, clean original examples can fetch tens of thousands of dollars. Rare versions with the 348 cubic inch V8 or cars modified for drag racing back in the day can even reach into the hundreds of thousands. Unlike the Impala, which was celebrated from the start, the Biscayne's reputation has grown only in recent decades. Collectors now see it as a silent treasure, a car that genuinely represents everyday American life in the 1950s. That nostalgic authenticity is what drives its rising value, even though it was never intended to be a star. What do you think about this car? If you have memories of the Biscayne, share them in the comments. Maybe it was your parents' car, a childhood road trip, or the first time you saw one on the street. Don't forget to hit like if you found this video informative, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss more journeys through the cars that defined an era. Turn on the notification bell to be the first to catch new stories. And if you'd like to support the channel, share this video with friends. Who knows, they might have a Biscayne memory of their own.